arm, stay long, okay?
Get that D, let's go!
Welcome along to this live stream from the World Championships of Beach Ultimate here in Lignano Sabbiadoro, and we're watching an open pool game between Canada and Australia. Canada getting a turn very, very early on in that point, just managing to poach off, getting onto the open side, but swinging now, slowing down by the Australians, and 3 Canadian players all diving for the same disc. But one of them comes out, number 5 shirt, passes to the down the line. Nice first point from Canada, very, very quick. The Australians, number 1 seeds in this pool, but already a big upset on day 1 when the brilliant beach team from Denmark just took them to pieces and beat them 13-0. Sean, what's the situation? The post. Can you maybe push all the legs up together? Rugby straight. Hey, good, thanks, Chris. Yeah, kind of. We're getting there. Okay, my name is Tom Styles. I'm going to be one of your commentators for this game. Canada versus Australia in the open division. And the Australians signal that they want to receive this disc, and it floats high, deep, long. Oh, so close to coming back in, but it's just dropped outside the side of the pitch. And the Australians, it's number 15, Hearn, for Australia in the yellow cap. And he's been marked by Laverto in the 35 shirt for Canada. Lilwell for Australia. Back to Hearn. Hearn sends it down the pitch to Latham. Latham lays out, dumps back, sends it to raise a sharp disc, and pressure from the Canadians. Hearn almost got a hand to that and managed to control it, but it was a very, very difficult disc to stop. And I'm joined by Dutch superstar Hilco Berkema from the Dutch Open team, Dutch mixed team, and Hilco's going to be bringing us a bit of colour. Beautiful day out here today, Hilco.
As it has been so far, very excited to be here, as are the Canadians apparently. They're super stoked so far, so stoked in fact that both of their pools have been out. But let's see what they can do on offense right now, and it's looking really good. Seeing a dump look, yeah, it's happening. Is he going for a swing? Is he going to send it? It's up.
Well up into the air, it's floating high. The beach is sapping his energy, but he lays out. What a great chase down. 35, Lavertu just making up all the ground necessary. He wouldn't give up on that disc, and under this heat on this surface, that was a brilliant, brilliant bit of running. Sorry, was it 93 though, not Lavertu? Bochard chasing that disc down and wouldn't give up on it. Brilliant piece of running.
Yeah, that's the lesson to take there. Never give up on the disc. The Canadians really showing that attitude. I think they're coming in this game from 2 wins. First, the Australians coming into this game from 2 losses, and the Canadians seem really eager to, keep that record going, keep that record up. And the Australians are actually going to have to dig deep to make a difference here, because from a 2-point deficit, from the games that I've seen so far from the Australian team, that might get into their heads. So I hope they can adjust and get this back. Let's see what they do.
So we'd like to welcome you wherever you're watching. Thank you very much for tuning in to this live webcast. From the beaches in Italy, it's roasting hot, highs of 35. The sand is very, very hot indeed. Everyone is wearing sand socks, you'll notice. That's not an option. We had some people try to play with bare feet, and within a couple of points, certainly in the middle of the day, you just burn your feet and it's not pleasant at all. Many players going off into the sea after their games just to cool down. It's very, very hot. We might stress that a couple of times, but believe me, that's the case. It's Lung for Australia, passing it out to Ward. Ward moving it nicely to Appleby. Appleby getting it out. And it's floated. He's going to have to chase that down. I think there was number 19 there, Salisbury, thought the disc was going to one of his teammates. It wasn't, it was intended for him. He didn't chase it down as hard than Sachin Raina now for Canada. Swing back to 88 Lung. And Rayner again with the disc. Nice break across the pitch, finds lots of space and finds Keyfitz in the far side of the pitch. It's Keyfitz again now. Down the line, great disc. Canada keeping his toes in, keeping the pressure going, and a real great flow from the Canadians. And was there a call? No, there wasn't a call. The Australians step off the pitch. I think there might have been a little bit of doubt about, who was it in the corner there? It was Lou, whether he hit the ground with his chest first, but his feet were certainly in.
Definitely. It looks really good for the Canadians right now. They're gelling very well. And it's becoming tougher again. Like the Australians, it's really very much a mind game for them. I've been talking to a couple of them, and they said, obviously, Italy is very far from Australia, and they couldn't bring a lot of people out here. And when they started off during their training camps, they had a lot of good people, a lot of very strong players, but they were spread all across the divisions. And so what they did, they wanted to field one team that was going to be very competitive. So they pulled most of their very strong players into the mixed division. And the open division is kind of struggling to keep up the pace, because obviously they're defending champions. But so far, they haven't really shown it.
Yeah, we had a word with a couple of the guys, and they were certainly happy to be here, happy to be number one seeds, and very much looking forward to defending that. So far, it's been a frustrating time for their team, and again, I see that frustration borne out with a throwaway. Hearn putting the disc too far ahead of his compatriot, and it's the Canadians moving the disc nicely forward, looking to cut up the line. Levertu. Bid from Australia, swing across, so much space over here, they must score. Singh poaching in the zone, manages to get free, and it's 37. St. Jean Timmins who gets that disc eventually, but seemingly the Australians with no ability to string together more than two passes at the moment.
I think they're being their own worst enemy right now, because it's certainly not a team to put aside. They've got really strong players on the line, but from what we've seen so far is that it's just a small lack of confidence, and it seems like they've called a timeout right now, which is probably a good thing. Canada is on a bit of a run, and they just got to get their heads in the game, because when they gel really well, and Canada would better watch out. But so far, they haven't been able to pull anything out, and what I've seen is probably a lack of concentration. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it seems like that. The Canadians, as you said, fired up, ready to go, big squad. And it's a long way to come across from Canada as well. Not quite as far as it is. 24 hours on an aeroplane from Australia, probably 12 hours for some of the players in Canada, and 8 hours for the ones on the east coast. But big squad, fired up, ready to prove that they're here to do business. And I guess that's the same in the women's division, and in fact, both North American sides, USA and Canada, really here to prove a point across the divisions. And there are going to be some key matchups during the week.
Yeah, and I've actually heard that Canada is here to prove another point, a more political one, apart from an athletic one, in that the team they're fielding right now in the Open Division is a very, very multicultural team. And I was talking to Sachin on the Canadian Open team right now, Reina, number, 16. And he was kind of jokingly saying that multiculturalism seems to have failed in Europe, and Canada is also here on a political mission to show that multiculturalism can in fact work. And so far they've been doing a good job at that.
Yeah, we've certainly got players from all sorts of different ethnic backgrounds, black, Asian, white, Indian. In fact, our technical director, who's sorting out all the technical bits, is Tushar Singh down on the sideline here. So we have all sorts of multicultural influences in the Canadian side. Like I say, welcome along if you've just joined us. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Tom Stiles.
I'm Hilko Beukema, and we're happy you're watching.
We are indeed. If you are watching, do drop us an email. show@blockstack.tv is our email address. You can also, if you want to follow more about the tournament, the Blockstack TV shows are online. Blockstack.tv is our web address. You can also follow everything we're doing on Facebook, the Facebook group or Facebook page for the tournament is facebook.com/WCBU2011. So if you go to facebook.com/WCBU2011, or just search for WCBU Facebook. You'll probably find our page. Like that, and everything that we're doing over here will appear in your stream. You can follow along dead easy. We see the Australians now. It's the 10 shirt of McCarthy Adams. Which way is he looking? He sends it to nobody at all. A high stall count and a foul. No, a stall out, not a foul, a stall out. It's contested by McCarthy Adams. It's a fast count, but he threw it away. What's the situation here, Hilke?
In a fast count, normally you would go back to in the stall, but yeah, this is recognized as a throwaway because he shouldn't have thrown it if he calls a fast count, right?
Yeah, he can't have his cake and eat it.
It'd be a great world if we could.
So the Australians frustrated again by the fast-paced Canadian defense, and Ramanan, number 7. He's got Milne on his outside. Ramanan is coming with the Canadian with the cap on. He's got the disc in his hand, and straight away Lou cuts from the back. The disc not in play yet, and Welch now, but pressure from the Australians. No, it's a foul call. And McCarthy Adams, no complaint about that foul call. He clearly caught him. Still comes in on 0. Welch had made the cut, and deep options now opening up. It's Nekakov and Welch now with the disc. Nekakov comes back and gets it. Floaty disc forward, Lou, double-handed. No pressure on that disc, but he wanted to make sure for his teammates. And Ramanan. Back to Milne.
The Canadians seem to find very tiny windows to work with. A lot of break passes so far, especially Ramanan, number 7. Still, the turn happened. I think they tried to zip it a bit too tight up the line to the other handler. But let's see what Australia's going to do with this. They're putting themselves in place. Looks like a Haro stack. Ooh, that's unlucky again.
Really aggressive disc from the Australians. And at this sort of level, you're operating in tolerances which are, the other team aren't going to give you much space. You're going to have to make the pass, which normally you wouldn't make. The Canadians making errors, though. Nekakov not able to get to that disc. Foul. And Nekakov wasn't able to get to that disc because over on the far side, McCarthy Adams had fouled Ramanan as he threw it. So Ramanan, has he hurt himself there? Yeah, Sachin Raina coming on to take Ramanan's place. Maybe he caught his hand there. Oh, he's got I can see a brace on his finger there, Hilke. Do you think he might have just caught that as he's trying to throw?
Kind of looks like it. He wouldn't be going off otherwise because it didn't seem like he was on the ground or anything else. Maybe he's just taking precautions because they seem to be very comfortable in this game and they don't want to pressure maybe their valuable players. He seems to be getting the disc a lot, so that's good. Raina also very experienced. He played in the Netherlands for a while. I know him quite a bit. And let's see what he does.
So Sachin Raina now. There's a nice little floaty barbecue pass there. And Lou chasing that one down the line. It was Nekakov with the attempted assist down the line, but the wind same direction as yesterday, from our right to our left. It's an upwind downwind game, but it's also slightly crosswind, so it's coming from the sea inland, from the right to the left. And our technical director Tushar Singh takes a break from a point to come and make sure the stream is good for you. If it is good for you, please do let us know. Show@Blockstack.tv is our address, and the Australians find Jack Lilwell, only 19 years old, recently graduated from the junior ranks. Sachin Raina bidding hard on that disc, sends it deep. There's going to be pressure from the Canadians. It just takes it down out of the sky. There's Nekakov with great D there, just reading that disc very well. Sachin goes up, grabs two hands. Lou, Welch now. He's got options, he's got Lou cutting, he's got Raina he uses. Now, Raina's looking down the line, but the defence from the Australia managed to close that one down. Back to Nekakov, who goes to the sand. Nekakov looking forward to Welch. Welch got Lou. Lou's cutting, but the Australian defence just closing down the angles nice and quickly there. Back to Raina now for the Canadians. Canadians flowing nicely around this defence. Welch cutting in the end zone, keeps his feet inside the line. Chris Welch from Canada, currently living in London. And a very good score from the Canadians. They're moving it out 5-0. Hilke, what can the Australians do in this situation?
I think they've been training more as a team that likes to use their deep options. So far, I haven't seen a lot of deep options, no connections, surely. I've seen 1 or 2 attempts. I think if they're going to be able to make that connection, throwing the hucks a bit more and capitalizing on that, that they're going to be able to crawl back into this game. But so far, we've seen that Canada's on top of things. They are certainly not underestimating the Australians, which they shouldn't. And in that, they're all over it. They're all over it. So they're back on defense now, Canada, and let's see what they're whipping out to prevent Australia from coming back into this game, because that's really what they've got to do right now. And so far, Australia really needs to turn it on. They've got their token Irish guy on the line. Maybe that helps. It's the furthest one on the right, number 11, Murray. Yep.
Oh, yeah, Al Murray, ex-Thundering Herd from London. Ultimate sort of journeyman, maybe we'll call him. He's wearing his Australian hat with pride, playing for his adopted nation. Is it number 9? It's Ward, sends the disc deep. Great grab on the edge of the end zone. Latham brings it down. Brett Latham looking for options, manages to find... Oh, there's Al Murray in the corner with the quick 1-2 between himself and Molnar. Murray just making a great cut there, but it took a lot of very, very low percentage discs and layout grabs from the Australians to get their first point on the board. Can they maintain that sort of flow?
Maybe this was the luck of the Irish, but this was what I was talking about earlier, the huck game. If they can pull that off, they can claw back, and I hope this is going to work out for them. But like you were saying, there was a lot of high-risk throws in there. Maybe they're starting to get a bit desperate as well, which was exactly what happened in their game against Denmark, when they were just feeling the pressure too much. But this is day 2. They seem to have adjusted a tiny bit. They also had their second game on day 1 against Austria that they scored a fair amount of points. They still lost, I believe, by 12-7. But they seem to be getting into the groove a bit more, Australia. And if they do get their groove on, I hope that we can see a bit more of a competitive game than we've seen so far. Unfortunately, no halftime, so let's see if they can keep the momentum swinging in this direction without the halftimes.
So you're watching the open pool game between Australia and Canada live from Lignano Sabbiadoro here in Italy with Tom Stiles and Hilko Berkema, as the Canadians fouled. It was Lung getting a bit of shoulder action from Cameron Smith, and he's trying to reset it. Cameron Smith is trying to get it going again, and now it is. It's back in. Oh, and he's called a foul. Looked pretty clean on the release. Oh, it was number 5. It was Appleby coming across and just dropping his hand into that disc. So more of a strip than a point block.
I believe it's Latham.
You've got 7 down as Latham.
Oh, okay. Maybe they've switched jerseys. Let's have a look.
Maybe we're right. Okay, well, the disc has gone deep. It's number 3. Nemours just diving out and losing that disc as it disappears into the sand, but a foul on the throw again. And this time it's number 4, Kefitz, who's the supplier of that disc, and he's shaking his hand. Another one with a brace on one of his fingers. Ultimate can be one of those sports that's very, very tough on the hands. If you're getting blocks in the wrong place or in the same place again and again, it can be quite tough. And Appleby is trying to signal the game back in. If you are watching, wherever you're watching, hope you're enjoying it. Give us a tweet. Hashtag WCBU 2011 is the place to hit us up on Twitter. And it's 35. There's a big disc deep. It's going to be brought down. Superb high grab from Martin. Gets up so high and takes that disc out of the sky under a lot of pressure from the Australians. But the break force was the thing that opened the pitch right up from the Canadians. And they seemingly are throwing the disc around this Australian defence like it's not even there.
Exactly. It might be that a little bit of the height difference is working into the Canadians' advantage, but at this level, that shouldn't be too much of a, something that the Australians can't work around. They're a pretty short team, but neither is Canada that tall. So let's have a closer look as to how Canada is able to move the disc around seemingly very freely. Maybe Australia should really turn it up on defense as well. Obviously, that's the only way they're going to be able to win this game, if creating that turn is going to work out for them.
myself and Hilke just inching our way up the steps of our commentary tower just to try and keep our feet in the shade because it is boiling out here. Any sort of standing still in the sunshine, if you have a choice about it, you try and avoid it.
A lot of people with sock tans when they get back on, because really it's no option to play around the sand without any socks on, as you mentioned earlier. It might look a bit silly, but you'll save yourself a lot of blisters because this sand really literally burns people's feet. There's another pool outside by the Canadians. Let's see who picks it up.
Canadians have not put any pools in the pitch yet, have they?
They haven't. I'm surprised by that. Maybe they're a bit too eager, a bit too overconfident. Also, the wind is coming from the other direction than the other fields. This field being parallel to the shore, and most other fields being
perpendicular. Yeah. So disc down the line, a turn and block from number 23, Lefrancois. Nice disc, nice block from him. 93 sends the disc. It's going to be out the high side, the side of the pitch. Just enough pressure from the Australian number 23, Crocker. It's Wally Crocker.
Get it back, boys. Let's get it back, boys. Come on, boys. No, we're not.
So the Canadians again showing how quickly they can move this disc. They get the block. Lilwell, bit of a push. Looking deep, sends it. Finally, the disc is high, flying high. Rayner trying to chase that down. And great positioning from Rayner. He put his head down, got the sprint on, got ahead of his man, and made it very, very difficult for the Australian to get back into contention for that disc.
That was a great box out by Rayner, definitely. And yeah, smacked it out, picking it up right now. And I think we're going to be able to see a lot of the same play right now from the Canadian side. I'm happy to see, however, that Australia is getting their confidence back, that they've got their long game on a tiny bit more. Now, again, if only they find that connection. And with the Canadian defense like this, it's going to be tough, but possible. So let's see. Maybe Canadians are going to show how it's done. There we go.
Disc going up. There's pressure underneath this from... oh, look at the beard. The timing of that jump there from... St. John Timmins was flawless, but he didn't manage to get his fingers quite around the disc when he got up there. Lilwell now for 57 for Australia. Nice floaty one. The bid from two Australian players. A little bit of an earlier lay from Salisbury might have left him with the disc in his hand, but it's gone back anyway. McCarthy Adams now in the 10 shirt. Seeing a lot of action on the disc. The lanky figure with the green hat, and it's Roxburgh now. Disc over the top, it's a hammer, it's inside the end zone. The Australians have got the second point of the game, but again, using the high-risk strategy to pull it out.
Yep. It kind of could be showing off some desperation, but we all like to see some hammers in games like this. You know, we're on the beach, everyone's happy to lay out. Maybe not the safest option, but certainly something that the crowd likes to see. How about you?
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And occasionally you do see teams win games that way. I think most famously back in 2010 I saw a game, it was Kaboom, the Australian mixed side, playing against the Austrian mixed team. I've forgotten what they're called. Upsy Daisy. They were playing Upsy Daisy. And Kaboom lost that one, but they were the top seeds and they were looking really strong. And they were high seeds. They were unbeaten going into that game. Upsy Daisy lost quite a few games going into that one. And I chatted with the Kaboom guys on the sideline afterwards, and they said they threw 10% discs all game and brought every one of them down, and that's how they beat us. And you can't play against that.
True. So maybe now that we've got the Irish guy, they can pull out the luck of the Irish again with Murray on the field and keep going with the high percentage or the low percentage throws and capitalize on that. But it's not a situation you want to be in at this level against a team like Canada.
The Canadians with the disc, and they've got to work hard. Australia have got to work hard to get it off them now. Ramanan back on the pitch after he took his injury sub a while ago now. He swings out to Lung. Lung making progress now. And it's disc floated up, but it's a missed cue for the feet of Lou. It's going to have to be a layout. Has some Nekakov. He does. Brings it back. Nekakov bringing that disc down. Beautiful layout right in front of our posts. Apologies if you missed that one. We've got a sort of a temporary cover over our camera stand here, and hopefully not too much of that is in your line of fire, but I'm afraid that layout might have been right underneath the post.
Let's just describe it as perfectly timed and dragged the feet in. Really made sure that he was inside. Pretty beautiful, but let's hope we can see another layout on the right side of the field so that we can catch it on camera actually as well.
Let's see if we can catch up with what our people online are saying. So the hands of the Australians go up in the air.
Nice pull!
Disc floating high. It's gone out. So it's still in the pitch. It's a Canadian pull that's landed in and creating a lot of pressure straight away.
Hurry up!
It's 17, Tony Genest with the big beard. The first time I think we've seen him on the pitch, wanting to make an impression straight away. Lilwell now, Jack Lilwell, being marked by Tushar Singh. And disc goes down to Ward. It's gone deep. Oh, he bid, but he just didn't quite get enough horizontal on the travel there from Hearn. But a throwaway straight away from... it was a point block there. Hearn getting back the point block. And the disc not making it as far as Tushar Singh.
Let's see if they can capitalize this now. Looking for the... No, that's not on. Through the middle, maybe. No, he's got to swing now. Oh, that's a shame. They just couldn't get the dump off. So again, maybe this is a bit of the desperation that the Australians have been showcasing so far throughout the tournament, because that was a bit of an unnecessary attempt at a goal right now. But they're still on the right side of the field, so Singh picking it up. Let's see if Jack can put on enough pressure. Oh, there's a
timeout. So we're just going to... Hilka, can you just describe the scene and paint a sort of verbal picture for us? And I'm going to try and get on the Wi-Fi while you do that.
Oh, why don't I? So we're at Lignano in Italy, southern Italy. As we've been mentioning before, it's a very, very hot day. A lot of people in sand socks, which is no luxury that you can avoid. If you see a bit of the background, some people enjoying the sunshine, that's because the sports village where we are, Getur Sports Village, not only hosts this championship, but it also hosts some tourists. A lot of umbrellas alongside the beaches, a lot of people just enjoying the sunshine. It's pretty clear skies and a bit damp in the air. I would say a lot of teams have taken to sleeping on their balcony if they have that luxury. Actually, over breakfast this morning, we saw some betting on one of the breakfast tables because sleeping inside in weather like this gets pretty rough. A lot of sweating, I can tell you. So, you know, you got to stay hydrated. That's one of the very important things, especially playing games. Most teams today are playing 2 or 3 games a day. Games last 45 minutes. So hydration is very important. The Australians, you can see right now, have resulted to looking up the shade of their umbrellas, supported a bit by the other Australians in yellow, who I believe are from the mixed division. Canada slowly making their way to the sideline. They've been gathering in the organization tent right behind the camera, but I think right now they don't have the time. They're ready to field it again. They've been talking some tactics. Singh is still on the disc. He's giving out instructions, and I think we can look forward to a set play right here. So what's going to happen? The offense is going to set up. Australia's going to adjust and see if they can shut down the Canadians on the right side of the field.
Were you moaning about how hot it is?
I was actually, yeah. Me and all the people in my room were sleeping on the balcony. It's just ridiculously warm. Unless you have AC in your room, that works.
Oh, yeah. I think there's AC units in quite a few of the rooms, and it's a gamble whether you've got one that actually turns on or not. Okay, so the Canadians flowing nicely now. Great. Milked that disc nicely. 12 chasing that down. Double-handed grab. It's great foot speed from Pagia. Just making the pace. And number 25 working it down the line. So number 23, Laframboise, milking that disc all the way down the line. And the Canadians, when they put a couple of sweet passes together, they look so devastating.
Yeah. They didn't even bother to take it off the line, really. They must have discussed, you go first, and then you go second. And they kept it all on the same side of the field, and it worked out for them. It's, really impressive.
So frustrating when you're, you've called a defence, we're going to force this way or that way, and then you get beaten open side twice. You don't see that very often at this level, but the foot speed of the Canadian offense. Very impressive, and certainly no answer from the Australians at the moment. Tushar with a smile on his face here as he walks down the sideline, just making sure everything's all right technically. Certainly everything's all right from a playing point of view, Tushar.
I haven't made an error so far this game, I believe. Or major error, that is.
So personally, you're happy?
The team's doing really well.
The team's doing well. Tushar's doing well. And wherever you are, I hope you're doing well too. Sachin Raina putting the disc up. And as we see perfect disc from Sachin midway through the back of the end zone. The Australians with a lot of work to do straight away. Roxburgh finds Latham. And McCarthy Adams now cutting, but floaty disc over the top. Unlucky from the Canadians, and jacks it straight away. It's going to come out of the pitch, surely. It hangs over our heads and flies behind us. Raina's pull causing difficulties, but having managed to get the lucky break there, is it McCarthy Adams who came up with the disc from that garbage collection? Just going to see his number 3. Roxburgh came up with the disc from that garbage collection, but then just threw some garbage himself.
Conservation greatness.
Ramanan finds Welch. Welch looking to Lou, down pitch, sends it eventually. Lou's going to have to work hard to get this one. He's going to lay it. Oh, not quite. Just a little bit too much pie on that one from Chris Welch. Familiar player for myself and Steve Giguere. He's a very good friend of Steve's, actually. Both Canadians and both lived in Nottingham and hung out and went drinking quite a lot.
As they should. This is a good time for Canada to set up an offense. The pool has been tough from the Canadian side. They've, like you said, have been working hard straight off the bat, but now they've got a bit of a breather, setting up a horizontal stack, and I wonder what they're going to do with this. They're setting up pretty close to the disc, so I hope we're going to see some deep cuts again. It's short first.
Is Latham going to ground? Necessary, though. He passes it back to Roxburgh in the orange cap. Oh, touch from Lou. Just enough D on that. So close to being a Callahan from Lou. Awesome defense. And frustration on the face of Crocker there. What can you do against this sort of pressure? The Canadians just creating like a crucible of pressure. No way out for the Australians. And Raina again flips it back. Ramanan into space. Chris Welch chasing that down, but loses his footing a little bit as he accelerates. Very, very difficult on this dry, powdery sand out here on the Italian beaches. And the disc gets back into Australian hands. Canada not able to capitalise on the mistakes that are coming their way from the Australians. And cutting forward now, it's Murray. And a foul from Sachin and Raina, and McCarthy Adams having a discussion in the middle of the pitch, and a very loud call of foul, which I believe translates to foul from McCarthy Adams. But they've sorted that out. I'm sure they're friends. It's Roxburgh with the disc, Murray in the lane.
Discussion about travel here. He tapped in the disc according to Latham, but according to the disc, they didn't.
No, Murray in, out, no deep options. McCarthy Adams having to go to the sand to get it, but it's off the end of his fingers, and frustration from the number 10 player in the Australian shirt. Raina now to Ramanan. Ramanan, lots of pressure from Latham on the mark. Disc down the line to Welch, grabs high. Oh, perfect disc from Welch, just gets low. Flip, but I think there's been a call in the middle of the pitch. Latham having a discussion with Ramanan about what was going on there. So we're just going to try and clear these sidelines of players, or at least get them to stand back their necessary 2 meters. The Bula have been quite hard on making sure that everyone does stand back 2 meters, Hilke.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, the Dutch, we brought a tent that's so big that it barely fits in between two fields. So we've been having to move it around a lot. And all the more power to Bula, because it's actually very important. Player safety above all, I say. And in our case, it works in our advantage, because if we have a clean sideline, we have a better shot at it. Speaking of sideline, though, I see a lot of Australian players from the mixed division, predominantly in yellow, but I can't really hear their encouragement here. Maybe they could use a bit more sideline, the Australian Open here, to really pull this out. What do you reckon?
Well, it's very difficult. We've just had a rescheduling yesterday for this game, and basically all the games that are taking place in the hour slot after this one, in the sort of 2 to 3 slot, have been moved back an hour, and then all the subsequent games have been moved back an hour as well. So basically, if you've just finished a game, there's now a 2-hour lunch break, and this is the only game that's taking place in that first hour. So anyone that doesn't need to be on the beach isn't on the beach. They're just getting out of the sun, going for a siesta, and generally trying to chill out. As we see the Australians jacking it a little bit too far, Lung with the big putt, and it goes out of the back. But yeah, it's not surprising that these under this sort of heat, that people are just choosing to instead of watching the big show game, they're going to find a bit of shade and try and cool off a bit.
True. But being here, and Australian, they're classically very loud people, especially cheering on. I was somewhat surprised that they're here. Oh, is that another mistake by Tushar Singh, or was that a block?
It was a block from, was it Hearn, as he manages to put it in. Nice work from the Australians, Tushar Singh, and putting under a lot of pressure from the 15 shirt. And the Aussies rising a little bit after that quick point there. But yeah, I can see what you mean. The support, usual Australian bravado has been nipped in the bud a little bit by this enthusiastic Canadian attack.
Indeed. I do see that they have their fearsome supporter, the inflatable kangaroo, on the opposite side of the field, right in front of the camera when we pan later on. I think is always a great token, great mascot.
Maybe they're going to go to Skippy for a bit of tactical advice. What's that, Skip? We think we should force away.
I think that's a bit before the time of most viewers, Tom. Skippy the bush kangaroo.
Skippy the bush kangaroo, that's what I'm talking about. That's Skippy down there, isn't it? Offside on the pull. Good day if you are watching down under. We appreciate you tuning in. I hope you're enjoying seeing your boys. Even if their performance isn't quite living up to what they would have hoped for here against this Canadian team. And it's Latham with the pull. And again, we say heads. See the pull disappear out of the side of the pitch. The wind, it is sort of, it's more coming off the sea now. It's more of a crosswind that we're watching here rather than a straight upwind, downwind. And the flags on the WCBU tent are out pretty firmly and rippling.
Probably would cause that pool to go out. And Canada is able to take the regulation 10 meters.
It's Lung with the disc now.
Down pass, but they've got a completion looking downfield, and there's a foul on the mark.
Milne just absolutely crushed to the floor by, is it Lung? We've got a player called Lung on both teams here, so gladly they're not marking each other, although that would make things easier for us. But this is the other Lung now for Canada now, the 88 shirt, beautiful disc, look at that. Absolutely perfect for Keith Fitz. He got away from Appleby nice and early. And Keith Fitz just has to bring that down 2 hands. He had so much time. But the disc from Lung, so, perfectly weighted, nice IO on it, nicely done.
That made the point. That was a break throw almost, being forced sideline and being able to still get it off and just perfect timing on it. Nice spin. Because the offense was running away from the disc, but he was able to put the disc to the side to such a degree that he could just run into it anyway, instead of having the disc come over your head, which is one of the hardest grabs to make if you can't see where the disc is coming from. But giving it that inside was just a sweet move, and the offense was just able to pick it out and run into it.
It seems to be the level of hooking at the beach game this championships has been spectacular. Everyone's throwing deep shots from everywhere on the pitch, because obviously the beach pitch is a little bit shorter than the grass pitch, so your deep shots can come everywhere. But the amount of touch and sort of finesse we've seen, especially at the higher end, has been really lovely to watch. Players seemingly able to do anything they like with the disc, and the wind's not too much of a factor, so that's been great to watch for a spectacle point of view.
Exactly. A lot of nice grabs off of deep hooks, and Australia's trying to put it up as well. Let's see, number 9 underneath the disc. Defense on it. Oh, coming up just a bit too short. That's such a shame.
Let's run,
pressure, but you can see the difference there. That disc, absolutely no finesse on it at all. It was just a put with a little bit of float on it. Lacked the curve that we'd seen, but it was number 12, Paglia, for Canada, I think, as I'm not sure if he collided with Ward as they both bid for that disc, but Paglia's had to go off. He's seems to be limping a little bit. Heavy landing on the sand, and I think he's heading straight for the Adriatic.
That's right, he should. There's no turnover though, there's nothing that impacted possession on that play at all, I don't think. Yet they're still having a bit of a discussion. No, Canada's picking it up. Checked it in, I should say. And another teammate's picking it up. Yeah, I've been talking to some of the Canadians as well, and I don't think any of them, spare for maybe some, have been playing on the beach. And like you said, they do all have that deep puts that they use on grass so much. Oh, and that's a great defense right there. Australia showing that not every hug that Canada puts out is going to get an uncontested score.
So Ward now receiving the disc from Hearn. He sends the disc down nicely. It's Lilwell that's made a cut forward. His marker just poaching off him a little bit. Big mistake from the Canadians there. It was 93, and the Canadian Bouchard just came off Lilwell, didn't chase him back, didn't give him any pressure, and it opened up all sorts of space. Lilwell could put the disc where he wanted. Yeah,
Canada's going to have to be really careful not to underestimate and become too comfortable in this game, because I think once Australia's learned to play the part of the underdog, as they have to kind of had to this tournament, coming in seeded number 1, but not been doing so well. Now they seem to have adjusted to being the underdog, and Canada's going to have to watch out not to underestimate them, as I said, because Australia is stirring it up now, and I hope they can convert a couple more points. They're starting on D. Let's see what they've got in their pockets, if they've got some more in the tank to make this work.
Very difficult to put enough pressure on this Canadian team to force the turnovers, but yeah, like you said, Hilko, the Canadians are taking the foot off the gas a little bit. It's easy to see why they would do that, but with having such a big lead. What's the score? Too sharp? 10-4. It's 10-4 to the Canadians. So the beautifully done, 10-4. So you can see the score, we can't. Oh, that's nice. So say hello to our cameraman, Sean Colfer. Hello, Sean.
Hello.
Sean's a man of few words. You're listening to Tom Styles, and I've got with me
Hilko Beukema, gladly reporting from Lignano in Italy.
Sachin Rayner now pivoting as he finds Lou cutting. Oh, like scuba, beautifully done from Rayner. And it's Martin manages to find Mill back to Rayner. He looked to really put it there, but it couldn't, and it goes to ground. And nice grab from Martin. Sand all over everywhere there, and Welch has to go to the sand as well. He collects a mouthful of the stuff, and Rayner now cutting, dodging left and right as the disc goes back to Mill. Pressure from the Australian Murray. Irish Murray playing in the Australian shirt. Murray again going to sand, trying to get a finger to that one. A bit of a loose disc. But the disc goes deep. It's Lou's found the space in the end zone, and he brings it down. And a disc, something's been called. I think it was Latham got picked there.
Yeah, it seemed like it, because Lou was very open right there. And it is indeed a pick. Latham catching back up. Very hardly contested. The Australians really seem to have fired it up. A couple of really high pressure catches on the Canadian side so far. They're pretty close to the end zone, so they should just try and take it easy. But the Australian pressure has really turned on, so let's see what they do to work with this.
So Martin in the 72 shirt for Canada, cap on backwards. He looks down the field. Short pass to Rayner available. He goes break side. Chris Welch is so easy when they really break out. And Al Murray, the Australian that got himself broken there, picked up off the sand now by Martin. They're still friends. But yeah, really frustrating when, Murray's a big guy, unable to stop that break, and when it opens the pitch up like it did, Welch had nothing to do apart from catch the disc and score the point.
There's no way that the downfield defense can get to a break like that. It was really wide, and plenty of time for the offense to walk into that. And as a defender, especially on sand, there's no way to catch up. Being open 1 or 2 steps on the beach is like being open 3 or 4 on grass. Would you agree on that, Tom?
Oh, I definitely agree on that. Yeah, it's very, very difficult to change directions, and it's sort of an acquired skill as well. But we've seen some great pace from this Canadian team. It's a beautiful scene out here. We've got the sun glinting off the Adriatic. It's quite a hazy day. We can't see the coastline of Slovenia, which we were able to see a couple of days ago. The umbrellas of the masked tourists left and right all the way up and down this Lignano Sabbiadore beach. We're outside the Gitor Sports Village. To the left of us, so to the east of us, is the Lignano Sabbiadore, and to the right of us, to the west of us, is Lignano Pineta. And the Australians make another mistake, and we just heard the time cap whistle blow as well. So Singh finds Nemours and a block from the 15 shirt of Hearn. He's looking deep straight away, and he sent it, but before looking around, McCarthy had already turned around. He gives him the thumbs up, but terrible, poor communication between the two players there. And you kind of got the feeling that once Hearn had got that disc in his hand, he was looking one place and one place only. That it's like the confidence that they could pass the disc down there had gone.
Yeah, very much so. It's a shame because, as I mentioned earlier, Australia really benefits from that long play, and it's just a bit of a lack of confidence. I don't think they're very comfortable with running deep anymore, just because it hasn't been working out for them so far. But if they're going to be able to pull that out, it'll be really good. Canada trying to show it off. How it's done. That's a sweet pull. Is it going to take it down? Defense right on there. We just couldn't make it. Canada taking it down, and I think that's cap right now. This game point to Canada.
Lefrancois with the great grab there, under pressure from the Aussies, but beautiful flowing offense all the way through that point from the Canadians. They made it count. The whistle had gone during that point, so the point is finished, and I think the score, you can check the score behind us, it's 12-4, so yeah, definitely game to 13, which it kind of always was.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, this is the perfect timed cap in that sense, because all the games this tournament are 13 or until 45 minutes, and then add 1 point to the highest score, a cap of 1. But this time the cap coincided with the maximum score. So let's see if Australia can come back, maybe get a couple more points on the board, and see if they can, grow into this tournament, which I'm sure they can, and hopefully pull out some more of this game.
I do hope you're enjoying the coverage wherever you are in the world. I appreciate you tuning in. We've got another live game for you tonight as well. So if you have enjoyed this one, do us a favour, drop an email on whatever email list that you use to communicate with your Ultimate community. Let them know that we'll be back on tonight. It's the game starts about 9:15 Italian time. So that's minus 1 hour for the UK, minus 6 hours for the US East Coast, minus 9 hours for the US West Coast, and if you're anywhere else in the world, then please work the numbers out yourself. The Canadians going for a game point here. It's going to be chased down. Ramanan, he's got the turn. Defense, wasn't he?
Yeah. Canadians picking up right now in their own end zone line, and let's see if they can dial in this game. That's a sweet put down the field
to Mills with the disc now. Finds Nekakov. It's Kifitz looking to pivot. Finds Ramanan. Oh, I don't think that disc was to Ramanan. It was to Milne on the far side of the pitch. Ramanan made a late grab with his hand, and the disc's back in Australian hands. And it's 23. Crocker, Wally Crocker. And he's got options forward. Pressure from Ramanan, who takes a knee to the face as completely accidentally, as Latham landed and adjusted his position. Ramanan's face was right there, and he apologises. Totally accidental, but didn't look comfortable. It's just an injury. I don't think there was any sort of foul call, though, was it? It was just an accident, but... No. Yeah. Lou has just taken him off the pitch. He definitely sand in the face, knee in the face, and Latham, as Ramanan's place has been taken by Rayner. Latham looking for cuts from his two. Both his handlers have gone deep straight away, leaving him with no dump option. And the Canadians march down the pitch again. Lou to Kifitz. to Nekakov. It's going to be floated into the end zone. Keyfitz, he's just a little bit too far ahead of him. Nekakov putting a little bit too much wrist into that one. Wasn't necessary. And the wind, slightly downwind that shot. Nekakov puts it into the sand. The Aussies have it once more, but the Canadians so close to taking this game. The score is 12-4, game to 13.
It's actually the first time I can hear the Australian sideline shouting in excitement, in support. Let's see if it works.
Oh, a great bid from Lou, but he was a little bit too late. Latham now looking deep option. He sent it this time. It's going to be just a little bit of difficulty in adjusting the direction of his run from Lung there. The disc from Latham caught in the wind, blew across the path of Lung. A little bit more float on that from Latham. He had 2 cracks at sending it. Perhaps if the first one had gone up, a little bit more float. But the pressure from Rayner forced him to throw that less optimal disc. And Nekakov, or is it Keyfitz? It's just Keyfitz calling the timeout. And the Aussies encouraging their compatriots to fetch water. It's hot. Have we mentioned it's hot?
I don't think we've mentioned it enough because, in fact, it is hot. It is very hot, and water is the first thing you want to be doing during a timeout. I'm surprised they're not looking up the shade in either of the teams, but I guess they're both kind of expecting maybe that this is going to be the last point to be played. If we follow the course of the game as it's been so far. Canada on a disc, and they're certainly working out a strategy again, as they've done with the previous timeout where they had 2 passes to score. So Australia's going to have to pull it all out to see that they don't.
And myself and Hilko just taking on board some vital fluids ourselves. And if you are looking for sort of tips on ways to rehydrate, and we'll just pass that one back to Sean, then do check out Blockstack TV. We've got a hydration expert in on the show. Jamie Cross has been doing some hydration tips for us in a sort of light-hearted style. Not everyone at WCBU is taking the tournament 100% seriously, and even if they are on the pitch, off the pitch, the party vibe is in full effect.
I hear IV drips are really good for hydration, though.
Wasn't using an IV drip. He was using gin and tonic.
Okay. Well, those oftentimes lead to IV drips later on in the week if used too excessively.
So do tune in. You can follow us all over the place. Top methods are watching the Blockstack TV shows. Blockstack.tv. You can follow us directly on Facebook, facebook.com/BlockstackTV. You can also follow everything the tournament is doing, lots of news and banter on facebook.com/WCBU. Everything that Blockstack TV does, it'll be syndicated on there, so you can just watch that one thing. You'll see everything that's happening at the tournament. The Canadians back in now. Nekakov. Disc goes down pitch, Lou's chasing it, it's going to float, it's going to be perfect from Rayner. What a disc! Rayner pumps the air with his fist. Lou catching that one, devastating pace in the end zone, and the Canadians showing the Aussies how it's done. 13-4 is the final score. Hilko, just summarise that game for us.
Again, Canada came into this game having won 2 yesterday. Australia came into this game having lost 2 yesterday, and that trend perpetuated during this game. Australia kind of being their own worst enemy, if I can say that, because they have much more quality within their ranks than they have shown so far. I think it's a bit of a mental game that didn't work out in their favor quite correctly. Canada just really played very solid. Halfway through the game, they became maybe slightly overconfident, allowing Australia to take a couple of points back, but in the end, Canada dialed it in and just really denied Australia any comeback whatsoever.
Beautiful play from the Canadians, beautiful hats from the Australians. So everyone's waving to us over here. Hello, everyone. I hope the Canadian fans, if you're a Canadian fan or an Australian fan, do drop us an email. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage. And like we were saying before, if you have enjoyed this broadcast, we'll be broadcasting this game and also the evening game from the arena for the rest of the week. And we've also got 6 finals, 3 on Friday and 3 on Saturday. And that's going to be an exciting period. We'd love you to join us for it. We're going to have slightly higher bitrate stream. We've got Tushar from I Am Ultimate sorting out the technical side of this, and we've got a lot of support from the tournament. Matteo and Max helping us out on that front. But right now we're going to sign off. We're going to say thank you to our crew. Rose has been pressing the buttons and making sure all the titles are right there for you. Sean has been working the camera. I have been Tom Stiles.
I've been Hilko Beukema.
And we really do hope that you've enjoyed this one, and you'll join us again later in the week.